Is this one?
Yeah.
Alright. Dude, I don't have magical.
Yeah, I don't know if this is gonna work though, so I might have to just pass you this to scroll down.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Come on.
That is camera system.
Thank you for calling the Potawatomi County Conference Line. If you are just listening to the conference call, just stay on the line. If you wish to speak during the conference call, press star and then 1 upon entering the conference call to unmute your microphone.
You are currently the only person in this conference.
I talked to John this morning.
Took no vacation last year.
Just text me, did you see the email?
Oh, I didn't. Okay.
Hi, Al. How are you?
Were you ladies up in the ski hills yesterday?
Yes.
Yeah.
I saw you. I was up there.
Were you there when we were?
Yeah, when
Okay.
I was leaving when you came in. Did you ski?
No.
No. We cleaned.
Angie wouldn't let us. We just got to clean. We didn't do anything else.
Should have put you on the lift. Had you up there.
I'm sure some of
Thanks
them
for
did too.
nothing, huh?
So you cleaned for how long?
Like a couple hours.
Oh, that's
Half
great.
of our group went there, and then half of our group went to the Hitchcock Nature Center.
Have you been up to Hitchcock before?
Yeah.
Isn't that neat?
Yeah.
I think is it fourth grade or fifth grade? You guys do a yearly tour
Yeah.
at Lewis Central? I think all of them go in one grade level. They all
I think
go
my
up there.
brother went one way. And you're all gonna go back with your families frequently, right?
Oh, first grade.
Morning.
Was Joe Munch coming today?
No, I was going to speak to it a little bit. Joe Jr. He has trouble getting off work.
One of those guys.
Like a normal guy.
Uh-huh.
All he wants is a letter. Do we have one drafted?
Yes, there's one in the file, or in the packet.
I'll speak to that.
Few minutes.
Jeffrey?
Yes, he was at the tourism meeting that I think Melvin and Brian were at.
Yeah, I was there.
Rolling in any second.
I saw him back there.
Yep.
Yeah, Susan, Stacy's gonna get a hold of you regarding the grant program for the little communities.
Okay.
According to Mark, we need to kind of readjust our proposal.
Process. Yes.
Yeah. You're aware of that?
More through the
I can't hear you.
Oh.
ladies from up north asking money again. Tourism.
Oh, yeah, there was a letter I sent.
So, she's not gonna show up, we're not gonna.
I haven't talked to her. You want Jeanette to get a hold of her?
Well, I thought Mark said it was, last year it was too long.
She just went
She'll keep running as long as she's got a dime, I think.
Right.
Hello, Matt. Susan, we don't need to discuss the buyback. Okay, you're comfortable with it.
The way, I mean, it's okay the way it is.
Okay. John's good.
Yes, yes, I talked to him this morning. Good morning. Call the meeting to order. If you'll all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right. The records reflect that all the supervisors are present this morning. We've got a little adjustment in the agenda just to make it flow better for our guests today. After the scheduled sessions, we are going to move the study session for the zoning ordinance for the wind energy and the solar in front of the closed session. So you won't need to stand around for an hour while we have a closed session. So hopefully that meets with everybody, and then we'll do the budget study sessions after the closed sessions. All right.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the adjustments.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion is carried. Moving on to the scheduled sessions. Joe Munch, President, Potawatomi County Trails Association. Discussion and/or decision to sign letter of support for Potawatomi County Trails Association to secure financial grants for the construction of multi-use trails connecting our community. And I understand that Joe is not able to be with us today,
Correct.
but Brian Shea, who is on that committee, is going to speak.
I helped start that committee like 12 years ago, and building trails is very tough, and funding is very, got a lot of loopholes and stuff. What we're looking at now, we've got a certain amount of money, and what we want to get is a letter of intent or support from the board to help us with some grants, and we've hired a grant writer, and there's some very exciting stuff happening with this. So we, as a committee, are just asking that we, as a board of supervisors, have a letter of support for us, so we can send that with our grant applications. Okay.
You're not asking for any money, you're just asking for a
No.
letter of support.
Correct.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Scott.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion by Belt, second by Jorgensen, for the county supervisors to provide a letter of support for the Trails Association. Is there additional discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you very much,
Thank
Brian.
you.
All right, next on the agenda, we have Al Wagman, trustee clerk, Lewis Township, discussion and or decision to hold more than 3 meetings for Lewis Township. And I told Al he did not need to be here this morning, that I could speak on his behalf. He was here on October 10th, 2023, and we approved for Lewis Township to meet 12 times a year, or up to 12 times a year, just because of the nature and the uniqueness of the Lewis Township division. But after we approved Resolution 09-2024 in the first meeting in January, it set them back to 3 meetings per year.
Oh, okay.
So we need to, and last week Neola was in and we approved them for up to 4 meetings per year. So we need to approve Lewis Township again for up to 12 meetings during 2024.
Will that be a yearly thing we have to do?
I think we need to, yes, I think we need to adjust our regular resolution that we do in January to include Lewis Township for
Okay,
the additional
regular
sessions.
housekeeping,
Right.
okay.
I think
Good
there's a
move.
better way to do that.
I'd make a motion to approve their meetings up over 3 and up to 12, correct?
Correct.
Okay,
So you're amending the motion here to read from 3 to up, no more than 12.
correct.
Okay, I'll second that.
All right, so we have a motion by Shea, second by Bell to approve Lewis Township to hold up to 12 meetings per year. Additional discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you very much. Next up, we have Mark Ekman, Executive Director, and Emma Schwaller, Council Bluffs Convention and Visitors Bureau. And we have an update on Potawatomi County tourism.
Okay, well, Mark asked me to kick this off since I was one of the original promoters of it, or board members. We just had a meeting this morning. Brian and Jeff were there, and these nice little
Thank you.
handouts.
Okay.
So a little bit of history. Mark, let me give a little bit of history. And Tim might remember in 2001 or 2, Bob Mott, who was president of the Council Bluffs Chamber, came in and gave a proposal on partnering then with the CVB on countywide tourism. And I said, you remember, Tim, when he came in, they were asking for a lot of money, and we just kind of, and it was several years later, I think Cindy Thompson, who was the Mark Shoemaker's executive assistant, she must have been on the CVB, but then she kind of started promoting it. And I think it was in 2008 that we started this program. Scotty, you were on the committee for a while, weren't you?
Yes.
And then, so in 2008, you weren't here. I don't know who the other committee person was, but in the county. But it's just been a really good program, and I think the city of Council Bluffs, the CVB, and the small communities have really benefited from this partnership. So that's a little bit of the history, and I'll let Mark take over now, and then. Yeah, I should have done that before I started talking.
Or would you like to get my reading?
You getting them, Melvin?
Huh? It's warming up.
Oh,
It's in the yellow.
the tubes are turning on?
Yeah. Getting a little glow now.
As that's happening, I just want to point out a couple of things that's in the pocket folder. On the right-hand side are the publications we're going to talk about here in a few minutes. And then on the left-hand side is a copy of the PowerPoint slide should we have a technology issue. And of course, that never happens. On you. So as Melvin just reported, the committee's been in operation since 2008, and certainly some conversations before that. We meet on a bi-monthly basis, and we had our January meeting right before this particular meeting. You can see we draw representatives from across the county in a lot of different roles. In terms of accomplishments, we certainly want to report out to you on an annual basis as to what we've been doing, and certainly have engaged in some new activities this year. And I think have had a very positive effect on the county. First of all, we did a partnership between the committee and the CVB, center that, of a shoulder season marketing campaign. We worked with Mitch to make this possible. We obtained a $10,000 grant from the Iowa Tourism Office that then was matched by $35,000 from the Convention and Visitors Bureau. And what we did is basically get out there and try to invite as many people to come to the county and spend their leisure time, and with that, their money, in the spring and the fall. It's not peak season, it's a time where we really have to aggressively go after potential visitors, and we did that with digital marketing. Long gone are the days back when I started this industry when you picked up a magazine, you called an 800 number, you waited 2 to 4 weeks to get a brochure or a guide, and then started planning. Now that planning can happen at any free 10, 15 minutes you might have in the day, where you go on your phone or your laptop and you can start searching for different things to see and do. That's what this is all about, is getting digital ads out there. There's a couple of examples of some banner ads that we've placed in the spring and the fall. Through this process of placing ads through Google and Facebook, we created in the spring, for instance, more than 2.1 million impressions with those ads that then led to them clicking on those ads and going to a landing page all about different spring activities, or in the fall, what happens in autumn in Potawatomi County, and there's quite a bit actually. Through that process, they look at the content that Thomas Waller puts together in terms of different things to see and do, and that spurs that trip planning to Potawatomi County. So we were very appreciative of this opportunity. The committee obviously also kicked in some dollars for these 2 campaigns, but it was very successful. I'm going to hand it over to, was it Melvin? You were going to talk a little bit about the museum tour, the first time project of the committee this past July.
Oh, yeah. It came up with Gail Strickland out of the Oakland Museum, and I think Ruby Bentley was involved from the 2 museums in Macedonia and the Evoca Museum. And I guess, when did they have this? Just last fall?
July
July.
16th.
And I guess it was a real hit, and the people went to all these various museums. Did you attend any of it, Susan?
I was not, but it's my understanding there wasn't enough time to be every place.
No, it was a short time frame to visit all those, 5 or 6 museums. And they had, in Macedonia, they had Terry McLean was acting as Guido Stempel, talking about his experiences traveling the country getting the birds for the Stempel Bird Museum. And I guess according to Ruby, I didn't get to any of them, but according to Ruby and Gail, it was a real hit, and I'm guessing they will probably do it again.
They were particularly satisfied with it. I had a chance to go to the Nishna Heritage Museum as well as the Pioneer Trail Museum. And like we were saying, there were reenactors there. There was a nice flow of traffic. They were so gratified that they started planning the 2024 tour almost immediately. So I know that they had some plans to kind of do a reverse tour for each one of them to see the others museum before they organized the 2024 version. But yeah, there's plans underway. We're looking forward to hearing what they have in mind for, I believe it's going to be July 14th. For this year because of leap year, so you can stay tuned for more details there. Going on to the next slide, brochures and inspirational guide. Craig Carlson, who's going to talk a little bit about that.
Sure. Inside your folder, there are 5 different pieces of printed material that we go through CTM to distribute to local hotels and attractions to promote different things to do in our county. One of those 5 pieces is the new double-sided pamphlet that kind of promotes trails on one side and Mount Crescent on the other, providing supreme opportunity to promote those things seasonally. Obviously, skiing in the summer is a little different in Potawatomi County, and riding your bike can be different in the wintertime too. So providing that opportunity seasonally is kind of neat, especially in confined spaces where our printed materials are distributed. Sometimes there's not as much space, so being able to just flip that and keep that spot is pretty nice. Those pieces go in hand with our Stars and Bronze Tribute Trail that highlight our military appreciation. Those are the Eagles of Honor and Freedom Rock. Information on those exhibits. The West Nishnabotna River Water Trail, and then a map to highlight those things. And then you've got the Council Bluffs and Potawatomi County Inspirational Guide. Emma worked really hard to, previously it kind of been segmented between, you've got your Council Bluffs stuff and your Potawatomi County stuff and separated. She had kind of made a point today to kind of explain that her vision was to integrate that a little bit more so that Potawatomi County is highlighted in a few different spots, not just at the end. but sporadically throughout the guide. Along with the places that, we use CTM to distribute this information, really happy about the new opening of the new courthouse edition. Happy that there's a new spot to continue to distribute this kind of information. And then I think I speak on behalf of the entire committee. We appreciate the support from the board and the county to provide a supreme opportunity to drive people to explore Potawatomi County through those digital displays and really highlight the great things to do in Potawatomi County.
Thanks, Greg. That takes us to the next slide, and this would be some of the print advertising that we have done or are planning to do, and I'm going to turn that over to Emma.
Yeah, so every year we place an ad in the Travel Iowa Guide, which is a very popular travel guide for the state of Iowa. So these are usually joint ads between the Council of CVB and the Potawatomi County Tourism Group. So the 2024, they've been doing 2 guides per year. They'll do seasonal guides, but this year they're switching to just one guide. And so we actually have a 2-page spread ad, and so that's what you're seeing right here for the 48 hours in Potawatomi County. We're doing a new approach where instead of just placing an ad, come check out our website, we're actually giving them an itinerary, 2 full days of things you can do in Potawatomi County. So look out for that guide. It's an awesome guide, and we're really excited to have such a prominent feature in it in 2024. And then the smaller ad was what we had in the fall and winter Travel Iowa Guide promoting Mount Crescent. And then another big way that we communicate with potential visitors is through our social media. We've got a pretty solid Facebook following, 7,000 about, and the most fun thing that we do on our social media every year is we give away a kayak to promote activity on the West Nishpatna River Water Trail, and then we also do an Extreme Wheels gift card giveaway in the past where we are promoting our recreational trails. These are really popular and a really fun way to engage people and remind them of some of the fun outdoor recreational things we have in our backyard. Some exciting things. So our website is obviously our main vehicle for getting our information out. In the past, we've had the waterwayia.com URL, but we've simplified that this last year, so now it's just waterway.com. We just received a $10,000 marketing grant from the Iowa Tourism Office. We will be using that money to revamp our website, redesign it through Neapolitan Labs, which we're really excited. That's just one of the things that's part of doing business in tourism is your website has to be up to date, easy to use, user-friendly, and all that stuff. So we're really excited to do that. And then the big fun thing about our website is our calendar of events. So any event that happens in Potawatomi County that is open to the public can be submitted to the Waterway website. We've got this really robust calendar of events. So we are always wanting to help get that word out, though, to our small communities that this is a great way to get your word out about your upcoming events. So that's kind of our goal in the next year as we revamp the website is to kind of refamiliarize our residents with this website and encourage them to submit to the calendar.
So to wind up the report, it's always nice to report some good news in terms of visitor spending being up. And according to Tourism Economics, this is a group that the Iowa Tourism Office contracts with on an annual basis. They just got the results for 2022. It takes about a year to compile the results, but spending by visitors traveling at least 50 miles or farther went up 6.8% in Potawatomi County. It's more than $329 million over the course of that 12 months. Again, that's $329 million spent in the county during the course of 2022. It's the 5th highest in the state. Only Polk, Lynn, Johnson, and Scott counties have a higher amount. That means that Potawatomi County outranks Woodbury, Dickinson, Story, Blackhawk, and Dubuque County. You know what cities and places are located there. So we're not doing too bad. Being at the intersection of I-29 and 80 does pay dividends when it comes to visitor spending, and certainly being across the river from the city of Omaha doesn't hurt anything. With that, I want to express the committee's thanks for the support that you provide to us on an annual basis. If the board would be so inclined to indulge me just a few more minutes, I do want to give you a little bit more information on the Council Bluffs CVB. And with that, I'll give you the annual report for fiscal year 2023, like I did last year, just to update you a little bit on our activities since we worked together so closely.
Thank you, Mark.
We had a very good year. I'm certainly not going to go into all the details of this report, but it gives you a pretty good idea of the things that we did over the course of the year. If you open it up on page 3, you'll see that Mark Shoemaker has some comments. He's halfway through his second term as president of the CVB Board of Directors. We've always had a county representative on the board. That's been one of the unspoken requirements of board participation, is that we have somebody from the county representing, and in this case, it's been conservation since the CVB board was conceived about 10 years ago. With that, we also had some great news over the course of 2023 that you'll see on page 2. We brought home for the third time since 2017 the Outstanding Community of the Year Award from the Iowa Tourism Office for Council Bluffs, and then also brought home the Outstanding Event of the Year for Beyond Van Gogh, the immersive experience that was hosted at the MAC from June until September of 2022. It's worth noting that it beat out the Iowa State Fair for Outstanding Event of the Year. Along with that, Emma Schwaller, our very own Emma, brought home the Rising Star Award from the Iowa Travel Industry Partners Foundation last year for being a real rock star in terms of being a newcomer to tourism with some noteworthy accomplishments, which we certainly talked a little bit about here today. If you go to pages 4 and 5, you'll see a little bit of the analytics from our social media promotions that Emma puts together. Our analytics went up between 14% and 83% on some social data points. So certainly noteworthy there. And our website for the CVB, unleashcv.com, hit some historic highs over the course of the year. If you go to pages 6 and 7, you'll see a little bit more about the seasonal marketing initiatives that we've undertaken since the pandemic came up in 2020. And of course, going back to July, you'll remember my report out on the very first winter travel marketing initiative we did a year ago in support of the county's acquisition of Mount Crescent. And it went very well in terms of now having that hook to bring people into the county during the winter months. Conservation just did a rock star performance in terms of running that and getting it up and running in less than a year. And it certainly made a difference with our analytics. Our marketing impressions went up 37.5% due to that additional marketing initiative, which meant that we created more than 7.18 million impressions with the digital ads that we put out over the course of the year. We also had a great year in terms of actually seeing more people come into Council Bluffs and spend some time. The city raked in a record amount of hotel and motel taxes at $3.4 million, a second consecutive year for record-setting hotel motel tax collections. We also had some noteworthy events that we were able to snag on pages 8 and 9. And then if you go to page 11, the thing that I would like to finish with some other awards. Some of you may be familiar with the Omaha Metropolitan Area Tourism Awards. When those were first held in 2017, 18, and 19, but were an in-person event recognizing staff. The pandemic forced us to pivot and change those up, and so instead of recognizing staff, we decided to recognize the best attraction, hotel, restaurant, and retail business in each one of the 3 metro counties. In 2023, we had an outstanding turnout in terms of nominations that came in for those 4 categories in Potawatomi County. In fact, we had more nominations in Potawatomi than Douglas or Sarpy. And then when the top 5 nominees were determined, we had a record amount of voting that took place. We outpaced the other 2 counties with 7,999 votes cast for those 4 different recipients that were determined through that voting process. And 3 out of the 4 award winners came from the rural part of the county. So the best attraction was the Dreamland Theater in Carson. The best restaurant was the Back 40 Bar and Grill in Macedonia. And the best retail business was the occasional collective and trainer. Now, there was a bone thrown to Council Bluffs. The Ameristar Casino Hotel ended up being the best hotel. But through this process, we really, I think, engaged a lot of locals and visitors in realizing that we have some great things throughout the entire county, and employed Brian as a part of the recognition process by having him be videotaped congratulating the 3 rural winners. And then we put together a video that then announced the winners during National Travel and Tourism Week in May of 2023. Those winners were also announced through digital billboards through the metro. So with that, I think we've had a very successful year as both a county tourism committee and as a CVB, and appreciate all the support that the board of supervisors provide. And if you have any questions or comments, we'd be more than happy to respond to those.
Really finding out all the stuff you can do in this county is amazing. There's a lot to do, a lot of things happening every month, so.
We're spreading the word.
It's,
pass that on.
It's good. It's good. You guys do a great job. Emma, congratulations on your award.
So what do you speculate the increase in tourism will be for 2023 based on the additional motel taxes that were collected?
Well, that's a very good question, Susan. So hotel motel taxes are reported on a quarterly basis, and there's a website for the state where you can look and see where that information is. The first quarter of fiscal year 2024, we actually brought in $30,000 more in hotel motel taxes than the year prior during that record-setting year. So the start of the year, very, very strong. However, we do receive weekly hotel occupancy, average daily rate, revenue per available room on the hotels in Council Bluffs compared to our comp set of Omaha, Sarpy County, Dubuque, and Waterloo. We're getting into a phase of the economy where we're facing more headwinds. There's less pent-up demand for travel. And so it's kind of hard to see that we're going to match the collections of the hotel motel tax side in fiscal year 24 that we saw in 23. So it's not going to probably surpass 23, but it's probably going to be more than 2022. So it's going to be a little bit of a, okay, people are adjusting, inflation is taking its toll, those kind of things are coming to bear.
Okay. Any other questions?
Well, thank you, nice job.
Good job.
Thank you.
I just kind of want to give a shout out to the partners, Wida, Stacy's not here, and Golden Hills RC&D has been with us since the very beginning. Ruby Bentley's always been a big promoter there for Macedonia, and Gail Strickland and others. So if it wasn't for the partnerships, I don't think it would be near as successful.
Emma, Craig, Mark, thanks.
I do like the video display in the lobby. Perhaps our Lewis Central students saw it when they came in this morning, and if not, maybe you'll notice it on the way out. But it really does fill out that space and looks really good. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, next up, we have Deb Masker, Southwest Iowa Leadership Academy, presentation on the Southwest Iowa Leadership Academy and discussion and/or decision on funding for Southwest Iowa Leadership Academy. And it's my understanding that Deb Masker was called in to substitute teach today.
Yeah, she's been a regular sub at Underwood this year. She retired from Kern last year, and she asked us from Lewis Central to represent the Southwest Iowa Leadership Group today. So
all right.
I've been part of that program for the last 20 years. I did lead, she's taken a job of more of the financial, getting all the money secured for our camp each year. And then we have a couple leaders at the camp, and then we have 100 students from around the county. We represent the schools here in town, St. Albert's, Kern, Wilson, and Lewis Central. And then we also have Underwood, Tri-Center, and Trainer as part of our program. And each year we have 100 students come to a camp, and we're seeking funding for to help out with the camp budget. We had a couple students who are willing to share a little bit about what their leadership skills help them in outside of school. Does one of you want to share some?
Yeah, so we are involved in lots of activities to help show our leadership skills, like show choir, dance, band, choir, volleyball, wrestling.
Oh, it's a lot of stuff, and after the leadership camp, I really didn't realize how much I use leadership in my everyday life and how much like I can really promote and help people because of it.
Then I don't know, a couple of them want to share about like the things that we've done this year as part of leadership at just Lewis Central specifically.
At Lewis Central this year, our leadership group for 8th grade went to Titan Hill and Craft Primary School to help teachers with their students and work with them at recess and help them learn stuff in the classroom.
And any of the other things we've done, like yesterday?
If I could add on to hers too, helping teachers in the classroom just made their job easier at some points to help handle kids or help teach them new things. But other things that we have done, such as yesterday, we went to Mount Crescent and Hitchcock Nature Center, and we split up into two groups, and my group went to Mount Crescent, and we just did some cleaning there for a couple hours. We did things such as wiping off shelves, wiping off and cleaning the boots for the skiing and snowboarding. We vacuumed some rooms. We've cleaned windows. And although this didn't seem like much, it's helping another like company almost it's helping
The community.
it's helping the community because it's helping the environment help.
And we've gone to a few other places, not necessarily involved with the county or the school. We went to Prairie Gate and did activities with some of the seniors there. We went to Horses Help, which didn't even know that existed, but it's a horse therapy place out just south of 92 on like 230th Street. And so we went there for a couple hours. We also did, we went to Omaha one time to do the Omaha Food Bank at the Timberlake Outreach Center. So we get out and get involved and try to help the community and get all these students interested in being a part of the community and being future leaders that are like some of the ones sitting behind us. So, and we're looking for, I think we've had some annual support. There is, I think, a report that was submitted by Deb Masker. I don't have that with me, but there was a report submitted by Deb, and we're looking for some support. So I don't know if you have any questions of any of the girls or myself.
When you went to the horse farm, did you have to clean there?
Yes.
I just imagine.
It wasn't as bad as they thought it might be. They did end with a fun activity, which I didn't realize they were going to, but they got to paint, like with a washable paint one of the sides of the horses and put their names on it and their handprints, and then took a picture with the horse too. So that's kind of a...
One of the important features of leadership is public speaking. Do you ladies have any chance to get up in front of people and speak publicly, get comfortable with that, and I'd like to hear that aspect of it, if you could.
Well, actually, we did a pep rally, and some of us organized some activities, and we had to speak in front of our whole school. And yeah, so that's just an example. But
Yeah, leadership is really good about getting kids out of their comfort zone, but Lewis Central is really good at that too. I'm part of the mock trial association, but it's like a club, and you like act out a courtroom, and I was a lawyer for that, and it was a really fun leadership kind of opportunity because you had to like take the role.
Also, not even for just a big event, but sometimes when you have to do assignments in class, if you have to present a slideshow, leadership can help you be able to present more often.
I want to add to that. So these activities that we've gone out and done, I'm not the one setting them up. I have the students. We have, from Lewis Central, we have 29, but there's no way we can bring them all today. But they take turns setting up the actual community service project. So I will fill out the bus forms and things that I need to do, but I let them take care of taking charge of planning all the activities, and then I support them in that if they need help. But they're the ones that plan where we're going to go and set up the times, and they take care of all of that. So that's the part of, and that way they'll be more likely to do it in the future when they don't have me around. So
Good job, ladies.
I was reading Deb's report, and there were a couple of things that came to my attention. And one of them, there was 100 students, and this was a sleepover camp. And that one of the requirements was there were no cell phones. And there were some students that showed up with cell phones. And I just wondered what your thoughts are on that. I mean, you had no problems giving them up, correct? I mean, it was one of the rules, that's what was expected. You came and abided by those rules. But as leaders, how would you encourage others to give up theirs as well?
I mean, you should just follow the rules that you're given. That's just, I think, something that everyone should always do. But it was also necessary, so, because I mean, cell phones are obviously a big distraction, and that really helped us get close to our base group and our leaders, and just we made new friends, and it was really fun.
Yeah, to add on to that, I know some people are really attached to like their parents, or like they don't like being away from them for a long time, but you're so preoccupied with other people at the camp, and yes, like being with your base group, and we did a bunch of group activities with them that didn't require having your cell phone or anything.
I feel like at the end of the day, not everyone's always going to follow the rules. Like, it's kind of something that you can't help. But I feel like at the leadership camp, everyone was really wanting to be there and wanting to learn, that you didn't have the opportunity to be on your phone. You made these great connections with people from other schools, and everything was really hands-on. So there was really no need for a phone.
Yeah, to add on to what Alexa said, was there wasn't really time to be on your phone because the entire time we were working with our base group and talking and like working on solving problems and like doing things that would help us make us better leaders.
And even like with that, even if they wanted to be on their phones, it was so like we did so much for like the community and just to learn. There wasn't really ever any time, and we were all just so tired at the end of the day and ready to do more the next day. And we also had to apply to get in, so it's not like just anybody could go. You had to have the opportunity, and then we all took it and then applied.
I think, how long has the program been around? I mean,
I think we're going on our 31st year. I've been doing it for 20 years. Deb came on quite a bit later. We have one lady from Underwood who's retired now. She started the program, but she's retired, so she's no longer with us. But I think this is coming up on our 31st year. Yeah. And we used to have a lot of support from the iOS Foundation, and that went away for the last, I don't know, want to say 5 or 6 years. They kind of went away from us completely. Their focus kind of changed for a while. We have been allowed to apply back to iOS last year and this year, and so we're getting some funding, but half of our funding used to come from iOS for probably the first 24 years. So it's been a rough last couple years, but we've been making it work. So yeah.
And this board has given in the past to this group?
Yes.
I think yes. In
Yes,
the last
we have.
couple years, maybe it's been 2,500
That's
or
what I remember,
something like
yes.
that. Yeah.
yeah, and that's the amount that's requested today.
Is it?
I will make that motion.
I will second that.
We have a
Approval of 2,500.
We have a motion by Jorgensen, second by Shea, to approve funding for the Southwest Iowa Leadership Academy for $2,500
Out of gaming.
out of gaming. Additional discussion?
I think what you're doing is really good, ladies.
One project you might consider is doing some shadowing of county elected officials and see what supervisors do, what goes on in the treasurer's office, and then it's a big, complicated outfit these guys are running here. So, you know, it might give these teenagers some ideas on maybe they could work in planning or the attorney's office.
All right,
go ahead. Are the girls, you can allow the girls to introduce themselves? They're all
They certainly may. Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, go ahead.
My name is supposed to. I'm Kenzie McCart.
I'm Alexa DeWitt.
I'm Madison Heatherly.
I'm Marion Arkfeld.
I'm Iris Varenkrug.
Thanks for coming.
What, and thank you for doing that. Could you give us what grades you guys are in?
They are all, so they're selected from all the schools that are involved at the end of the 7th grade year. They participate in the camp between 7th and 8th grade, and then they are part of the leadership program during 8th grade. So these girls are all in 8th grade.
8th grade.
Yeah. And then
Was
we'll
that middle
have,
school then?
and we have several back at school, we just couldn't bring them all, so.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, so we have a motion with the second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. I would like to have all of you come up and let's do a photo. Craig, do you?
Cool.
Appreciate you guys taking time out from school. And you got the added advantage of watching the visitations or
Windows, your
Come up here, ladies, and then kind of face that way.
There we go.
Cool.
Supervisor Miller can kind of hide back there sometimes.
No.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you. I've got to get them back to class, so.
All right. It's always good for the kids. We're in good hands. All right.
Now we got that.
He's always upbeat like that, aren't you? Yeah.
All right. Next on the agenda, we have Mark Hanwright and/or Wayne Peterson, discussion and/or decision to extend submission of final plat for RMP 87 subdivision.
Yep, good morning supervisors. We're here today. The preliminary plat for Wayne's subdivision on McPherson Avenue was filed on December 20th, 2022. The current code allows for 12 months from that date to file for final plat. Had a few delays in the development process, but very close to being ready for that step. But of course have crossed the 12-month threshold, so just here to request an extension on that deadline. The street is paved, grading is near complete, we're ready to put in utilities in the ground. Weather, is a factor at the moment on that one, but working with the county departments, John Rasmussen, to get the street adopted and approved is our next big step, and then we'll be on our way to final plat and intend to be selling lots and hopefully building homes this summer.
How much longer do you need, Mark?
When talking with Pam, she's suggested just ask for a 12-month extension. We certainly don't anticipate we're going to fulfill that entire 12 months, but just to save it from having to come before the board again, that was the recommendation.
Do you have any issues with that, Matt?
No, I would agree with that. I think an annual extension would be for the best.
I'll move that for you.
I'll second.
All right. Motion by Wickman.
That'll be 12 months.
Second by Shea to extend the submission of the final plat for the RMP 87 subdivision by 12 months. Additional discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried, and I just realized we've missed Melvin.
He went to the restroom.
That's all right, Matt was our clerk for that. Matt, you? Yes.
I did take good notes.
You knew where he was. You should have said something.
Was that E?
Yes, no, F.
Yeah.
They took his.
No, it was E.
That was E, and who was the motion by?
Wickman and Shea.
Leadership for 12-month extension. Right out. See what,
Maybe he's gonna go through and become
He's recruiting new auditors.
Thank you.
When do you think you'll be paving?
The road's done.
Okay.
The road's all done, and we were just waiting on Mr. Rasmussen to come out and have a final look at the road.
Okay.
Make sure it makes his approval. HPM approved of it, and they were happy with it. They had the engineer there the whole time it was getting done, so.
Good. Okay.
Yeah, I'm ready to sell a lot.
Let's go.
And tell me again, how many lots?
The development will be a total of 12 lots, it'll be 11 new homes, one of the lots has an existing home on it.
Thought you were going to Lewis Central. We thought you went to Lewis Central with the kids.
No, I got, Mark and Emma snagged me.
Thanks, Jana. All right, next up, Matt Wyatt, Director of Planning and Development. Discussion and/or decision to approve and sign urban renewal joint agreement related to RMP 87 subdivision.
So we worked with attorneys in Des Moines and the city of Council Bluffs to come up with a urban renewal joint agreement. Because the portion of this development lies within the 2-mile area of Council Bluffs, we have to sign a joint agreement with them if we're going to try to do any kind of TIF afterwards on this. And the city of Council Bluffs did agree to the urban renewal joint agreement. It's going before city council on February 12th for them. One portion that I wanted to make sure I pointed out in this urban renewal agreement is on the second page, section 2. Any of the LMI proceeds, the city of Council Bluffs requested that any of the LMI proceeds from this go to them for LMI projects inside the city of Council Bluffs.
And that's 46% of our cut?
That is 46% of the total.
The total
portion of it, yes.
Okay.
It did increase just a little bit to just over 46% now.
So all 11 houses are in Council Bluffs district then?
No.
They're within the 2-mile.
There just a portion of that ground hits the 2-mile.
How many lots?
I think it's might be one.
Northeast corner, ain't it?
It's just a
Or
very,
northwest.
a very small portion.
They just
of it.
get that house or they get?
No, they want all of the LMI proceeds that are derived from the development.
Okay.
To go towards an LMI project inside city limits.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yes.
Okay. I thought you said just with the property within the 2-mile limit.
No, it would be for the entire development. Any LMI proceeds would go to an LMI project, low to moderate income housing project inside city of Council Bluffs, which, would probably really be the only community that could, do something with that amount of money on it. So, it is just written in here that they will supply us, with the project information on there, and that we will then, that it meets all the LMI criteria from the state. We will then sign off on that, and then they get the funding for it. So that way we're covered on auditing purposes, and they get their money for the project.
So, I'll make a motion to approve, I guess, subject to the city council approving it.
Sure.
But we have to have their approval, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'll second that for discussion.
All right, we have a motion by Belt and a second by Wickman.
Matt, when will we see a developer's agreement on this?
So that will be the next step.
Okay.
So they're working on the developers agreement on that, right? The attorney's working on that right now. It's just, first we establish the urban renewal area, but because this is within that 2-mile, we're gonna establish the joint agreement, establish the urban renewal area, and then we go to our developers agreement.
So,
30 days,
30 days?
give or take.
Okay. This agreement is specific to, this particular project?
Correct. The urban renewal area will only be the area of the development. It does not extend anywhere outside of that.
Are you done?
The legal description takes care of that for us, man?
Correct.
No, I don't have any.
We put some money into this, correct?
No.
Not yet.
Okay. I I thought the TIF was going to not go through on this one. Is that,
The city of Council Bluffs is signing off on it, so we will be able to do a TIF on this development.
okay.
Mark and Wayne and everybody worked with the city to get them to agree to it, and they've agreed to it, so we will.
All right, good.
That's what we're taking these steps for now, is so we can establish the TIF for them.
All right, I'm good with that. Okay.
They haven't officially agreed to it. That's why I said.
Subject to,
the city council.
So until they sign it on February 12th,
okay,
that's when the city will, it'll go before them for actual approval and signature. But
So if they don't approve it till the middle of February, then you still think the developer agreement will be ready in 30 days?
I do, because they're still working on it at the attorney's office, so those steps they'll send us those steps.
okay,
Any other questions?
I'm good.
All right, we have a motion by Belt, a second by Wickman to approve the urban renewal joint agreement related to RMP 87 subdivision pursuant to the city of Council Bluffs acceptance. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
Sign that letter. And next up, we have Matt Wyatt, Director, Planning and Development, discussion and/or decision to approve and sign resolution number 13-2024, amended development agreement with JJHP, LLC.
So this is for the development down off of Pioneer Trail, a developer's agreement that went with that. We all know that we've had some struggles with, it's gotta have water to it in order for them to get the development to work out right. So we've been working with, they've been kind of going back and forth, and we're gonna have water, we're not gonna have water. So our timeline wise, from our original development agreement, we had to do some extensions back through here. And that's what we're here for today, is adding in more time to the developer's agreement. And it starts top of page 3. We move that date out to 2027. Moving down that page, I wanted to make sure I pointed out on page 3, which is 4th paragraph down, the LMI rate has changed a bit. It's now 46.14%.
That was per the state?
Correct, that comes from
Yeah.
them, that's not what we said. Paragraph 7, the legal and administrative costs, we modified the language into that just to show that the county's paying 50% of that, and the developer also has agreed to pay 50% of those costs that get incurred from this. Page 5, the bottom paragraph, dates have changed there, October 15th to 2027.
Matt, can we go back to paragraph 7?
Yes.
So we're not doing the 15,000, the lesser of, it's a split of 50-50?
Correct. I had sent Jeanette the revised yesterday, because the attorney didn't change it until yesterday. Mark agreed to it.
Reason being, we've already paid our 50% of the first 15,000, so what we're talking about now is administrative costs associated just with this. The original development agreement actually cost 15,500. We have reimbursed the county for our 50% of that already, which the new language reflects.
Okay, so the red line version that's in our packet is the outdated one.
Correct, the only change
Other
being
than
paragraph 7.
paragraph 7, yes.
We have a cleaned up version.
I have one here if you'd like it.
No, we've got the cleaned up version in the packet too. I just wanted to point out that it read differently. So if we go to, no, the packet is incorrect too. All right. So the changes you're talking about, we don't have in front of us.
That could be, yes, it was a last minute change from the attorneys to get that language pressed in there for paragraph 7. So paragraph 7 reads as legal and administrative costs. The developer will assist in the payment of legal fees and administrative costs the actual admin costs incurred by the county in connection with the drafting, negotiation, and authorization of this agreement with such amount not to exceed 50% of the actual administrative costs. Following the county's approval of this agreement, the developer will agree to remit to payment to the county within 30 days with evidence from the county of such costs. The county and the developer acknowledge that the developer previously paid 50% of the actual admin costs incurred by the county in connection with the original agreement.
Okay, and that matches the execution copy that's in the packet, so
Okay.
it's just, I wanted to make sure everybody was on the same page.
The one that's on, yeah.
All right, so going on.
So, page 6. Then there were dates on page 6 in paragraph 2, paragraph 3, and paragraph 5 was, paragraph 2 and 3 were for dates. Paragraph 5 was another part where the LMI percentage of change I wanted to make sure we pointed out. And that's the completion of the date changes.
That's your recommendation, right? Now,
Yes.
yours too, right, Mark?
Yes.
I'll move that for you, Susan.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion by Wickman, second by Shea to sign the amended development agreement with JJHP LLC. Additional discussion? All those in favor?
We need.
Oh, roll call. It's a resolution?
Chairman Miller,
Aye.
Supervisors Bell,
Aye.
Wickman,
Aye.
Shea,
Aye.
and Jorgensen.
Aye. Mark, if you hear anything from Rural Water, please let us know, would you?
I did receive a call,
You
just
did?
as the meeting fired up, so I stepped out to take it. Long story short, as best as I can do, he had to amend the route. They were unable to obtain easements on either side of 240th Street at the intersection of Bergen, so they've pulled the southern leg back to 250th Street instead. They're gonna turn off Bergen on 250th. They've got 2 of the 3 easements they need there secured. He believes they are still on path to have substantial completion by the end of 2024. However, any further delay may result in him needing to ask for, he said, minor adjustment to the timeline, 30 days or so. But I asked point blank, so we're making a lot of plans based on this water line happening. Is there any chance this does not happen? He said it's 100% that the project's going through. It's just a matter of securing the easements. They had to, with moving to 250th, they had to redo some work with the archaeological investigations to make sure there was nothing substantial archaeologically along 250th Street that they needed to be aware of. That's now with SHPO, which is a 30-day review process. After that's approved, then they'll go to final engineering and got to put it out for bid.
Awesome.
So,
Thanks, Mark.
I talked to him last week, so.
same update you got?
Yep.
We're hearing the same
It's
story.
got all funding, everything. We're just waiting back for the indigenous people to check the archaeological study.
Yeah, their plan is to have 3 crews working simultaneously on the construction, kind of at different points where they can all tie in. That's their way to meet the deadline, since they've kind of taken longer than expected on the easement agreements.
So if substantial completion is the end of 2024, when do they expect to make some
Yeah, substantial completion is defined as being ready to connect to our interior water line infrastructure in the development and have water flow. So at that point, they as long as they stay on track, they're not gonna be a detriment to our timeline. We've just held off, so the prior development had us having to enact the first phase of our TIF in 2025 based on their project timeline. It wasn't realistic for us to have a good amount of homes built by that time frame, which is why we asked for the 2-year, pushback on each date, which we appreciate you agreeing to. But hopefully, as long as no major change in their agenda and timeline, we shouldn't have any change in ours either. And we hope to be constructing the development and getting going, because we've been sitting on it a lot longer than we planned.
Are you done with dirt work down there?
We're largely done. There's a few piles to move around or move off-site. It depends if an opportunity presents itself to send it elsewhere. If not, we're at a stage we can spread around what we've got left.
Okay.
Be ready to rock, yeah. If we were to go out there, the site's really taking shape. You can see where the cul-de-sacs are gonna be. It's a lot more easy to visualize.
Okay. Well, thank you, Matt, Pam, Mark.
Thank you.
All right, committee appointments. I attended the ISAC Leadership University a couple of days last week in Des Moines. Anybody else have anything they want to report?
VA, and then it was at we had some bicycle stuff. Working them trails.
Yeah, I was at the VA too, and also I attended the organizational board meeting for the Southwest Iowa Juvenile Detention Center. There was a line item that came up with the sheriff's department budget last time we talked, having to do with the cost for juvenile detention in the jail. I am told that money is paid by the other counties if they're not Potawatomi County residents, that paid by the other counties directly to the county. So it doesn't go to the jail or the sheriff's office. It goes directly to us. So somewhere in that budget, there's a line item of those payments. I don't know where it's at.
Do you get something, Melvin?
Pardon me?
Do you get something from other counties then?
No, that would have just been
Pardon?
that would have just been a payment probably to the treasurer for that kid that was, they couldn't hold him at the detention center. Maybe he was older or something, and then they had to hold him at the jail. And so then that cost goes to the county and the kid's residence.
Right.
But it wouldn't come through the auditor's office. Money would go into the general fund at the treasurer's office.
It goes into our general fund?
Yeah, any of those receipts all would go into the general fund.
Do they bill or who does the billing?
I'm guessing that the detention center would bill the sheriff. But the money is paid by that particular county. It's not paid by the detention center.
Right.
Yeah, the detention center doesn't pay for that.
Right.
But I'm guessing the sheriff might have a line item, revenue line item showing, that revenue, whether he does or not, I don't know.
They pay a certain percentage in the 28E because we all pay that.
The board pays that percentage. We've always been
That's what I'm
around
saying.
70%.
We're 70%?
Well, it historically was always around 70. I mean, it might be high 60s now, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't.
Depends on how many kids they got there. Might have to get a report from the detention center someday, what's going on.
You don't think we've ever gotten one?
No,
Well,
other than no, we never did from them, but just from the report that Tim or Jeff or when I used to be on it, we just never. But the other board members probably weren't aware of what goes on down there.
I haven't been.
Mitch will look into it for us, find out what those.
Scott or Tim, anything you want to report? All right.
Snow shoveling.
Snow shoveling, lots of that. Public comments, did anybody sign up for public comments?
No.
All right, rocking on.
All right, so now we're moving into the study session for ordinance number 2023-05 to amend chapter 8 zoning ordinance by adding wind energy and solar energy systems. This is discussion purposes only. This is for the board discussion with our planning and zoning department, and we will not be taking any comments from the public during this session. I do acknowledge you're all in existence here and thank you for making the trip in today. And we are moving forward with the process, so thank you. All right.
I wanted to point out really quick, I did get a call from Lee from Baird Home, and they have reached their $10,000 cap with us that they agreed to start this process off, and they had actually ran over about $4,000 in expenses on that. So they forgave $4,000 expenses to stay at the $10,000 cap. But I will have to probably put it back on as an agenda item to come back in. I would like to get the cap increased to keep them on through the process till it's finished. So that's one of the points. But I appreciate the work that they've done. I thank them for staying within their $10,000 cap that they agreed to, and I think forgiving that portion of it for us, even though they worked over, is impressive. So.
Did you get the documentation for both of those items from them?
I have their invoice, yes.
Okay. And the credit that came along with it?
I couldn't hear you, Scott.
And then a credit for $4,000?
They're not gonna bill us for that extra work that they did over there.
They're just gonna say they did it, we're supposed to trust them because they're lawyers.
I know we didn't get one invoice from it was like 10,400, and I reached back out to them and said I can't go over 10, so they knew they for sure wiped off 400 until I sent them. So.
Okay, well, it's nice to have the documentation. What's his next guess? Another 10?
Well, why do we need to keep them on, Matt? I mean, they've pretty much written the ordinance, and we've had a recommendation from our planning and zoning on some setback stuff. If the board makes any other changes to it, those can be added in relatively easy. Do we need legal representation still for this?
Well, I would say as much public interest and developer interest as we've had in this ordinance, regardless of which way we go with it, I think having them through as legal representation from the start to the finish is probably the best course of action for that.
Okay.
Okay.
So just to recap how we got to where we're at today, we've had the 2 public hearings from the planning and zoning, and we've got their recommendations. The Board of Supervisors, we've held 2 public hearings, one here in the courthouse in the morning and one in Oakland in an evening. We have a moratorium in place currently that was put in place on November 7th, 2023, and it goes for 1 year. And we have the opportunity today to just fine tune, change, discuss, whatever the board's intentions are towards the ordinance based upon our research and our conversations with the public and with the utility providers and with the landowners. And I just would like to know your thoughts on everything.
My thoughts are this: I think there was overwhelming support for the new regulations and ordinances. There's just a lot of people that do not want to see additional wind farms out in Potawatomi County. You're looking at the area that you guys are looking at capitalizing on is prime property for Potawatomi County for growth, for redevelopment, and I would rather see go in that direction, not wind farms. So that's my opinion.
Okay, so just so we're all clear, this is a discussion amongst us as supervisors.
Right. And so the ordinance, I understand the ordinances as amended would probably put a lot of that on hold or not happen. And I would say that that's where I'm at.
One of my main concerns is the airport. That made a big impression upon me when they came in and talked to us about the zone around the airports. I gotta agree with Supervisor Jorgensen. Potawatomi County is poised to grow, and to put the wind generators close to this side of the county really may impede that, and that's a real concern of mine.
Okay.
Do we have a map of the proposed locations of these farms?
Yeah, I think
Somewhere
maybe
here.
each of the companies has presented us with different areas that they're working in.
And can we get them?
That's the Silver Creek information.
We haven't put them all three together.
No, I mean, we could probably get them to Jamie and ask them if you highlight us some areas if you like.
And then the existing one that shows the existing farm.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just dive in. You know, I think that we did have a presentation by the airport. They said it would affect them and their revenues and their business. But you know, one of my main concerns is the people that got up and spoke and said, you know, we really don't want it here. But the most important thing was when we had those hearings and the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended a half-mile setback from a dwelling and 1,500 feet from a property line. I think those are two distances that I can support. One of the things that I believe is not addressed in the ordinance that I think it should is the distance away from a incorporated city. And I would like for us to add the distance from a incorporated city to 3 miles. It extends to a mile further than the 2-mile limit where a city could have jurisdiction over that. And I don't know if the proper wording for that is that it can be waived by a incorporated city. If they want to get into that, I think that we've learned that all of our cities outside of Council Bluffs want to grow. And I think by not having some protection in there limits that ability for them to grow. So I would like to see that added in. I spoke with our conservation team, and our conservation team also liked the 3-mile setback from any of our county parks. So I'd like to see the board consider that as a part of the ordinance.
Tim?
Yeah.
What distance did you say? From
3
the
miles.
parks? From the parks?
Yes. That would affect Wheeler Grove, Farm Creek, Bottom Bend,
Old Town.
Old Town Park, and I think there might be
Arrowhead.
Arrowhead, that's the other one. And I think that I'd like for the board to consider that.
That's county conservation areas, not necessarily county parks. Parks and conservation area.
Yeah, parks and conservation areas.
I would like to add about the small cities. They've worked really hard and are very poised to grow. Each of them are. So, and they were very concerned about this. being on their doorstep, which could impede growth within each little city. Potawatomi County's worked hard to help each of them grow, and I think that's an important step.
Well, I think that a 3-mile limit would help in that tremendously.
If we work on language like that, do you want us to include, so if, to give you an idea, the extra jurisdictional territory that the community has around it, they have a 2-mile buffer around each of the small towns given to them by state code for subdivision of purposes. So if any landowner wants to split a piece of ground within 2 miles of one of the towns, they have to go to the town first, and the town has to okay that before they're allowed to split it. Now these, the way that they're operating is if they're going in and getting a land lease and they're just surveying off a piece of ground and they say, hey, we're just gonna lease this piece of ground. I mean, there's no split happening, so the towns don't have any way to say yes or no to that portion of it. But we could write language in there to say the same piece, like just because if the landowner wants to do it, then, and they're within that 2 or 3 mile difference of it, where they have to go to the community, to go to the town to get the city approval. Is that the way that you would want that written in there?
I don't know how the legal language needs to be, Matt. I just want to make sure that our communities are aware and protected some way.
Well, it would give them a say-so.
That's
If
what
we
I
wrote
want.
it in there that, we write in there something that they have to seek the town's approval for it, and then they have to go to city council meeting and present their case to get that approved.
Okay.
Just like they do if they wanted to split their ground. I mean, it'd be the same process. If they want to split their ground, they'd have to go to city council meeting and get it approved.
Okay. The, let me keep going.
Please.
Okay, I'll keep going. Matt, in the ordinance now, what is the decibel limit? Is it 50?
In the current zoning,
Yeah,
You had a proposal?
for the proposal. I thought it was 50, but I thought I had that with me and I don't, so I want to make sure before I say anything else.
Sound is 50 decibels.
At what distance?
Sound levels caused by the CWES measured at least 25 feet from the closest exterior wall of any non-participating dwelling shall not exceed 50 decibels.
I'd like to see the board consider lowering that to 40. And I think that may happen with the setback requirement, I don't know. But that is kind of what I'm hearing, so. I don't know when, Susan, you plan to put this on, or when Matt can get any of these, I don't even know if you guys agree with what I'm saying, I mean.
We're just discussing.
Yeah. But,
We'll decide what the next steps are.
and Matt, I want to make sure, can you, as I said, I don't have that actual ordinance in front of me. The transportation plan that spoke about in the ordinance on secondary road part,
Yes.
does the language say that the transportation plan must be approved before a permit is provided?
I don't think it's approved before the permit. It's a part of the submittal for the permit.
Okay, I would like some discussion on that the board approves any transportation plan before an actual permit is provided.
I think we've got the language for that already in here. Section 8.
Does it say board approval? County board approval?
Yes. The applicant, owners, and their contractors shall avoid damaging public roads to the greatest practical extent and shall be responsible for repair of damage to public roads. A public roads damage avoidance and mitigation plan shall be in accordance with the following standards and approved by the county board before the applicant commences construction.
Okay.
And there's like 6 paragraphs that go along with that.
So that may be already covered well enough for us, and I can't believe, did you borrow my copy of the?
I just have several copies. That's pretty much where I'm at and what I'd like for the board to consider. I think that those setbacks can work in most counties. I think it can work here. The majority of the people vast majority of the people that spoke at the public hearing, both here and in Oakland, said that, I don't want to put words in their mouth, but I got the impression from that conversation that the majority of the people affected were okay with these setbacks. And if you recall, some of them wanted them even bigger. Even more restrictive, yes.
They did.
So, I think noise was an issue, the nuisance, visual nuisance of wind generators on the horizon, the lights at night, all of this. I mean, a vast majority of those people had concerns about those issues with wind farms, and I totally agree with them.
Scott, anything you want to add?
Well, I guess I'm a little bit torn since we have them. None of us were on the board when they were first put in, and I don't know if those issues were all discussed back when the Walnut Farm got put in, but I guess I'd really get a little nervous when I tell people what they can do with their land based on what this country was founded on. But I don't want them to be intrusive to your neighbors either, so I just like to see how this ordinance, as it's being drafted, affects the 3 industry providers that are looking to come to Pike County. See how that affects them. And we're just basically putting them out of business. And we haven't talked about solar yet at all, so I don't know what that's.
Well, I can't see how it would put them out of business just to affect Potawatomi County. I mean, they've got the whole state of Iowa they can reach out to. I'm sure there's areas that they can go to that they would be welcomed, for further development on wind generation. But, like I said, the people that we all heard from, and I heard from more of them, overwhelmingly, they would prefer not to have more wind farms in Potawatomi County. So again, I agree. I'm sorry, there was one other thing I wanted to throw out. I would like the board to consider a maximum height too, and that to be about 350 feet for a maximum height.
350?
Yeah.
They're currently at 500.
I don't believe they're that tall. How tall are they, Matt?
I can tell.
It was in one of the books.
Max height in Mills County is 85 feet. Max height in Montgomery County is 500 feet.
85 in Mills County?
Yeah. I think they're sending a message. 500 is the max height proposed for Montgomery County. I haven't seen their final one. Montgomery County, their setback requirements are 6 times the total height. So those are really restrictive. Jeff, we have heard from the energy companies that these setbacks that have been proposed by planning and zoning that we have been reviewing would be a detriment to the.
Yeah, and you know, I know somebody that worked for OPPD, for instance, in their generating plant. And he said that the wind generation, electricity generated by wind farms are very disruptive to the grid operators. He said they come online, they go offline, if the wind doesn't blow. He said they're very troublesome for our grid operators. And that's just another aspect of it. I think a lot of that, say what you want about not being federally funded or being federally funded, I think that a lot of federal money going into this, and at some point, they're gonna have to stop that, because we can't afford all of this green energy that's coming down the pipe.
Well, I'd like to add in, right now, we have a certain amount of wind energy within this county. We're looking strong at some solar. There's some people really wanting to come in with solar plants. We have a big coal plant, one of the cleanest in the country. And we do have an ethanol plant. So we do have alternative energies within this county. And we are one of the most populous counties within the state of Iowa. And I keep going back to our growth, which that could really impede us, I think.
I agree.
And I think we've worked too hard to just have them everywhere and close into housing, especially our towns. That's the way I feel.
I've attended several ISAC county meetings, and that seems to be the common thread between all of the supervisor discussion is the future of wind energy and what the requirements and the ordinances need to be. I've heard from a county supervisor who owns property, it's a family farm in the Walnut area, and they've been trying to sell it, and it has turbines on it, and they're not finding any buyers for it. I heard, well, I did not get to attend the 2024 Iowa Renewable Fuels Summit, which was held January 11th in Des Moines. I did watch the podcast afterwards, and their focus on renewable fuels is in airline fuel, jet fuel. And in order to make the jet fuel that we're going to need, or to meet the requirements, we're gonna need all the corn we can get. And I just have concerns that by keeping our setbacks where they were, I mean, I think the 1,500-foot setback is where we need to be. And I think we'll just figure out the best path forward. I mean, we've just got to set the boundaries.
1,500 feet from the property line?
Yes, that's correct.
Susan, I want to bring up, I went to that same meeting with you. One of the counties brought up the fact that their easements to the towers were sold to a foreign entity. And the actual easement was. And no one could figure that out. We're not lawyers or anything, but it makes you wonder why a foreign entity would want to purchase an easement to wind generators. And however that works, it's above my pay grade. So that was something that was really concerning to a couple counties out there. So Susan heard the same thing. They said that you get into the fine print and all of a sudden their easements were being sold to someone who stepped forward from a foreign country. So that just blew me away. I don't have any evidence other than what they told us at the meeting, so I'd like to see different.
If you take a look at the setbacks that the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended, they're in the middle of the ballpark between some ordinances, their setbacks are less, some are more. I don't really think that a setback from a dwelling stops a project. I think what stops a project is the population of your county. If you look at Potawatomi County and just, hypothetically say there's 65,000 people that live in Council Bluffs. At least 30,000 out in the rural area. So 30,000 and growing, Tim. yes, and growing. Yes. And there are other areas that have far less population than that. I don't think our ordinances are too restrictive. I just think that we have a heavily populated rural part of Potawatomi County, and in order to protect their quality of life, and those setbacks I think they're reasonable, and we go from there, and let's get the parameters put into our ordinance and move this thing along.
Do you see anything else we need, Matt?
No, I mean, we've
Well,
made,
excuse me, I'm sorry.
no, go ahead.
We're gonna, put the solar piece into this also at the same time?
It's all in here.
That's what I'm saying.
Correct.
So,
Yeah, the goal would be that the wind and solar go at the same time.
do we have some solar, because I've not heard solar plus or minus percent at any of the.
I do know that we have 2 landowners that have signed up 600 acres for a solar farm down around Mid-American Energy.
Matt, the last thing I want to see, we talk about solar farms, and I understand that's also getting to be somewhat of a problem too in certain aspects. For instance, if you dismantle these things and they have to be trashed or whatever, for whatever reason, where do you take them? The parts are getting to be expensive for repair. But also, I don't want the county, especially this county, to be responsible for taking these things out because of bankruptcy, either the property owner or the company that installed these things, and that's happening. That is happening. And then it falls back on counties to okay, we dismantle and
Citizens.
Yeah.
Citizens' money.
taxpayers to take care of the problem. And that's the last thing I want to see happen in Potawatomi County. So, and solar is getting to be somewhat of a problem too, from what I've been reading, what I've been understanding. So,
I'm concerned with the area that this developer didn't come to us ahead of time. They went ahead and signed up those landowners. There was a large JLUS study done a few years back, and that study was done in order to make sure that we did not impede anything within Offutt's flight paths.
Okay.
And to make sure that we could keep Offutt Air Force Base as a successful Air Force Base for years to come, one of the most important in the United States. We want to make sure that any developments going on outside around it does not have any effect on them. So they would have to, in that particular project, if it were to come in, they would have to show us that they are in conformance with that JLUS study. They'd have to get approvals from Offutt Air Force Base and the surrounding staff because I don't think there's anything any of us want to do to jeopardize us having Offutt in our community.
That brings up a good point, Jeff. I think that somebody provided us, or I saw part of a lease. Must have been for another project, but it spoke about the decommissioning of the project if it were to go away or something like that. Do we have good enough language in there to take care of that for the county, man?
I believe it goes down 4 feet, is that correct?
6 foot.
6 foot?
6 foot.
Yeah, I felt that we were pretty strong on the decommissioning side.
Okay, so
The financial surety to back it up.
So let's just say that a project goes in and it costs right now $10 million to decommission it. 30 years from now, it could be 10 times that amount. Do we have anything that escalates, or is there an escalator clause in that we can put in there to make sure that our landowners aren't stuck with a turbine in the middle of their farm that doesn't work?
Well, there's not an actual escalation clause in there, you know, it's every 10th year, they would come back in and they would update that with us. But again, I guess, I mean, if we, you know, like the comments I made earlier on the attorneys, and you know, Scott made the point of, you know, we're supposed to trust them just because they're attorneys, right? I guess, you know, their developers coming back in 10 years, or the company's coming back in 10 years and saying, well, no, it's only gonna cost us this amount to decommission it. So I mean, if somebody's putting some trust in somebody to say that that's what the cost of the decommissioning is, so that's what their bond is going to be up towards.
Is 10 years too long?
I mean, a decade, that's.
As government works. That was the part about the ordinance that I really liked, was the vision, the forethought on how we're going to deconstruct these and how the responsibility for that was going to be maintained.
I think internally, we would probably have to consult with somebody to try and figure out what would the actual cost be on decommissioning something like that, and are they presenting us with information that is accurate?
Has there been any, whatever decommissioned or in Iowa to this point that you know of?
I would have to ask.
What's that group,
Kozo.
Kozo?
Yeah, nobody on Kozo has said anything about a decommissioning before, as far as one happening within their county.
For either, well, probably solar's so new, but for wind or anything?
And the Kozo group that he's mentioning is county zoning officials for Iowa. That's just all of the directors have a email server exchange that goes around.
There was an issue in Nebraska, I believe that's several months ago, I read the article, but there was a solar farm there that was totally destroyed because of hail. And according to the article anyway, they were having quite a time with trying to figure out how to decommission and dispose of, you know, all that damaged these wind panels. You know, that's another issue. You know, where do you take them at? You know, how do you dispose of them? And when you're talking large wind or solar farms to this extent, you know, that is again, who absorbs those costs, and what can be done about it. So, you know, and I don't know if they're going to be replaced and then that solar farm is going to be up and running again. It didn't sound like it. I don't know, but you know, it happened just right across the river in Nebraska, and it's an issue. Anyway.
Tim, going back to your comment about maximum height and the 350, I guess what I'd like to do is find out what the current height is for the existing turbines in Potawatomi County and set the cap at that amount. I don't think 350 is enough, but I think 500 is probably more in line with what the other counties are doing.
Yeah.
But where we've got existing turbines, I think we've kind of got we don't want them any taller than this. But by changing the ordinance, we don't want to have to chop those off.
I mean, That's fine too. I don't know what the heights of those are. I did some research and there's counties out there that set the height at 350 feet. I just think that's a discussion point, and if it ends up being 5, surprisingly, I'm in agreement with everything Tim said. You know,
Surprisingly?
I think that, you know, some of the horror stories and that kind of stuff you hear about wind and some of the comments that you made, Jeff, I think those kind of issues are handled in the actual lease with the landowner. All I really want to do is put together an ordinance that works for the people of Potawatomi County. Right. And let the landowners work the leasing issues or construction issues out with them, as long as we have a road plan that the board approves before they come.
I'd like to make sure that our engineer for secondary roads is comfortable. He has said it looks pretty good, but I want to make sure that he's 100% on board with this.
And that's one of the requirements in the ordinance, that the applicant shall meet with the development director and submit all the required documents. And then the development director will submit all documents to the Potawatomi County Department Approval Committee. So we're creating a subcommittee which is made up of conservation, the county engineer, secondary roads, and the sheriff's office. So that we've got all of them on board as well, and then they approve the plans.
Where's the mention of a board representation on that, Susan?
Said committee shall consist of the county board and the development director, which, along with the department head or the designated employee from the following departments: conservation, county engineers, and sheriffs.
Can I ask a question?
No.
No.
We're not adding the auditor on.
A landowner. I'll bring it up.
We're not allowing landowners to speak at this time. This is a board discussion only.
Okay, I won't say anything. I just, while you're bringing up other partners on the committee, I had suggested another one who might be interested. But I'll talk to you later.
Okay.
Well, Susan, I'm interested. You talked about the property owner who had a wind generator on his property and isn't able to sell that property. What is he going to do? Did he say what he's going to do?
Well, it's a family farm situation, and there's siblings involved, and they're just taking a wait and see if there's an offer that comes through.
Okay. All right.
But the way that land turns quickly, it's not turning quickly.
Okay. All right. Matt, how long would it take for you to put together some kind of a draft ordinance that you can show to the board?
3 weeks.
3 weeks?
And it's not a draft ordinance, it's just updating the draft ordinance that we already have.
Exactly. With some of the changes that we spoke about today.
Right. With the distance for the small cities, or for the incorporated cities, to 3 miles. And to do the conservation areas and parks, put it 3 miles setback around those. Reducing the sound from 50 to 40 decibels.
3 miles for the airport.
3 miles for the airport.
I believe that's what he was asking.
Those are the things that we're going to ask if they're legal to do. Is that what we're going to do? Because I don't know, but the cities have their own rules.
Matt will come up
They got a 2 mile, correct, set?
Right, but I'm just saying, they got local control, I thought.
Only over subdivision.
Okay.
So the only thing that 2 mile buffer covers by state code is the subdivision of land. And so that's why with these being on leased pieces of ground, there's no subdivision happening, therefore the city would have no say. But if you put that community buffer in place and you had a part in there that says, if the city agrees to sign off on that, that they would have to seek city approval as well. So it wouldn't only be landowner approval, landowner would have to take it to the city'd have to sign off on it.
You're talking about the 3 miles that Tim mentioned, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, going back to your comment, Brian, about the 3 miles for the airport, that would be for the wind turbines only.
Correct.
Because I believe the Council Bluffs Airport was going to look into solar panels.
They were already in discussions.
Right.
Yep.
So we don't want to exclude solar for the airports. Okay, and then we're going to insert an ordinance for a minimum height requirement of whatever the existing towers are in the Walnut area.
That was your recommendation.
Well, I'm just summarizing all of the recommendations.
That's okay.
When they go with the height, is that the height of blade or the height of the
I believe that's
motor?
total height, is it not?
It's the tower plus the rotor.
Pardon?
We'd want it to the tip of the blade, yeah.
Blade. When they switched theirs out just recently, did they change theirs?
Yes.
And went from what to what?
90 to 120, wasn't it?
I thought it was 20 or 30 feet that it added on.
They added, I think they went up to 120-foot blade.
What else is on your list there, Ms. Miller?
I believe that is what I've captured so far.
Is there anything that you've captured so far you want to strike?
No, I, based on the public comments, all of the discussion, my mountains of research, I think this would be a good ordinance for us with these revisions.
I feel comfortable with that.
I do too.
We've definitely been in the trenches and did the homework, and a lot of that was listening to the public, and I think they've spoken.
I would say so.
So back to your question, Tim, what is the next step?
The next step is, I would like to see those topics we discussed incorporated into the ordinance. Where they sit, or where they fit in the ordinance, I don't know. I just would like to see them in there. And bring it back and send it to the board for a draft review.
Should we send it to legal for a once through? Have Kristen go over it?
If she wants to.
I would feel more confident in her recommendation too. Okay?
Yeah,
Just
fine.
if you guys work together.
The more lawyers, the merrier.
Watch it, she's listening.
And then, if that's something that the board can live with, let's adopt it. Here. When, Susan, you mentioned when we started the 1-year moratorium, when was that?
November 7th.
So we're doing pretty good. All right.
Told you it wouldn't take us that long to get it done. So.
No. Is there any other discussion on that? I mean, is everybody okay with that direction? Move forward?
Did everybody conclude their talking points? I mean, we don't want anything to come up later.
I'm good.
Okay, with that, Ms. Miller, I'll make a motion to go into a closed session pursuant to Iowa Code 20.17, parent 3, for discussion, decision on labor negotiations, collective bargaining matters.
We have a motion for closed session.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second to go into closed session. We need a roll call.
Melvin? Roll call?
Okay,
Roll call?
Roll call?
go into closed session.
Right.
Not that I'm not.
Chairman Miller.
Aye.
Supervisors Wickman. Aye. Bell. Aye. Shea and Jorgensen.
Aye.
Okay.
Can we take a 5-minute break?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, do you want a 5-minute break? Okay.
Please.
All right,
Who made the second on that motion?
Brian.
Yes, ma'am.
You have been kicked from this conference.
Okay.